here he is, your friend and mine, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy, my man, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. How are you smiling after all? How are you in a good mood? You should be coming on frowning, upset. Is this all fake? What is going on here?
No, man. Well, looking at your face right now, dude, I'm glad to be on with you
Oh,
and to
thank
be
you.
able to
That's very
chat
kind.
about this a little bit. That's why I'm smiling.
I appreciate that. Very good answer. Okay, can we start at the beginning? At what point
Yeah.
did you start to get any type of word feeling that he would miss weight or at least was having trouble missing weight? When did this hit your radar?
Well, it kind of hit my radar actually the day of the press conference, right?
Okay.
You know, us fighters, we spend weeks trying to, get our weights down. We start working our weight down as the fight gets closer gets closer. We start working on our weight. And just looking at him, I could tell that this guy was a lot bigger, right, than me. I was like, man, why is he looking so big right now? And I mean, it was kind of on my radar. I'm like, nah, he'll make weight. It might be a hard weight cut, but I think he'll make weight. And then, Thursday night, we started our weight cut. I got down to 174, 173, 174-ish. We cut it for the night, woke up the next day, which is Friday, which is the day of weigh-ins, and was going to cut the rest of the poundage that morning before the 9 o'clock weigh-in time. So I was getting ready to get into the tub and got word that Michel Pereira was not going to make weight, and he had stopped sweating. So immediately I'm like, oh, here we go. Being at that weight, being cut down, dehydrated, and hearing this terrible news was just like, oh man, you know what? I'm going to think, I'm this still in my head. I'm thinking this fight's going to happen. I'm going to make weight. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to finish this weight cut. We're going to go down and we're going to weigh in and make weight, and we'll see what happens from there. So that's what ended up happening. While we were down there, before I even stepped on the scale, they were saying that Michel Pereira is not going to make weight. He had, I think, an hour left to make weight. He didn't make weight. And there we have it, man. I mean, it was the last, I think he weighed 174, I believe, what his weight was. And during this whole process, I'm thinking in my head that this is going to happen, right? He's going to make weight. It's going to happen. And when he didn't, it was the Darren Till all over again. Giving this guy who's ranked number 15 the opportunity to come up to fight me, which opponent guys have done in the past for me. The Johnny Hendricks, the Rory McDonald's, the Jake Ellenbergers. I wasn't even ranked. These guys gave me that opportunity. And I've been doing that with a lot of guys, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, all these guys, even Michel Pereira, who's 15, giving these guys the opportunity to come up. But I feel like it's almost like kind of a slap in the face whenever they don't make weight. When you sign that contract, you're giving your word, a man's word, which a lot of people nowadays don't. It doesn't mean a whole lot to some people, but to me, it is. It's your word that you're going to do what's on this contract to be able to make this fight happen, and that's make weight. You got this one thing, just make weight. And I feel like this is happening way too much for fighters, that these guys aren't. I don't know what needs to be done, but I think there should be more and greater consequences for these guys who are coming in with no integrity and no honor to make weight, And I just told myself then after the Darren Till fight, I'm not gonna do this again.
So I want to ask you about how you got to that decision, but just curious, in total, off the top of your head, like you're approaching around 100 fights, right? Whether it's pro kickboxing, amateur kickboxing, pro MMA. Do you say like you're in the 90 to 80 to 100 range? Sir. Yeah. Have you ever missed weight? Have you ever missed weight?
Never missed weight. I've never missed weight.
So that must annoy you even more. Like you've been doing this for so long with more competitions probably than, and that you were involved in than most of these guys, and you've never had any trouble, and now you have to deal with this, and you have to be the good guy to be like, yeah, sure. When, as you referenced, in 2018, Darren Till missed by 3.5 pounds, and you lost a close fight, and that could have very well been the difference, right?
100%. I mean, when I fought Darren, you could see it. He was a lot bigger than me, even though we fought. It was a very close fight. But the weight made a big difference in the outcome of that fight. He was just a big body, man, and I could feel it out there, and it does make a difference. When you're depleting yourself and you're already lean, you're going to fight camp, and you have to cut 11 to 12 pounds more of water weight. You're struggling and you feel like death. Your voice changes, your eyes are sinking in the back of your head hurts, you're going through cramps. You step on that scale and you're still 174, and you still have to get down there. That's how I feel whenever I step on the scale and I feel like I'm 174. I still have to dig deep. I mean, there have been situations where I've been go through cases of dry heaving, throwing up, but I've never missed weight. I always dig deep and I make that weight cut. And it's funny when people say it's only 3 or it's only 4 pounds. That is the hardest ones. That is the hardest, pounds to lose. Those last 3 to 4 pounds. It's very, very difficult. And I go through it. Why don't these other guys have to go through it? There's been a lot of people out there who this had happened to, and maybe they needed the money, so they ended up taking the fight. But to me, I think it's more than that. It's more than that. These guys are realizing that I can do this, knowing that my opponent will take the fight and I have an advantage. I don't have to sink down and deplete myself. I can start rehydrating. I'll feel better out there. And I think it's wrong. I think I don't know what should be done, but I think there's definitely more, got to be greater consequences than what's going on.
The official weigh-ins are 9 to 11 a.m. To the best of your knowledge, did he try to go back and make the weight, or was he done after he stepped on the scale?
No, I do believe he had like an hour he weighed actually, I think it was 174 on the official scale. I think he did try, but I'm not sure exactly what happened. I don't know if it was the UFC that said no, or if it was his team that said no, he wasn't going to continue to go down. I don't remember the what happened after he weighed in, right?
Okay.
But when you plan a fight and you're ready for a fight, I spend weeks before preparing for that, right? Weeks before the training, 3 to 4 weeks, really focusing on my diet. There's a whole lot that we do that people don't see. So that way, when you show up to fight week, you're already down at a certain weight. So that weight cut isn't going to be as terrible, right? And there was a lot of people sending me videos of this guy, deadlifting like heavyweight, man. I feel like he knew that he wasn't going to make weight. That's all I know. I feel like he knew that he was going to make weight. And I think maybe me taking the Darren Till fight, he thought I was going to take this fight. And, you treat people how you want to be treated. And I want everybody to know right now in the 170 division that if you're going to fight me now, you better be on weight or it's not going to happen. I'm in a situation now, a place in my career where, I want to fight fairly, man. I don't want to play any games. I don't want to play any games. I've been here in the UFC for 11 years, been fighting for a very long time, and I don't want to play any games anymore. I want these guys to take it seriously. I want these guys to do it honorably, to show integrity and professionalism. And that's what the sports is about. That's what martial arts is supposed to be about, right? And that's how I see it.
Can you tell me about how you got to the decision of saying what you just said here? Like, you want to fight fairly, you don't want to go forward with it. At any point, did you actually consider taking the fight? And how did you end up, what was the process like to end up saying, when we got the post on Friday afternoon that you were not going to take it, which again, I agree with 100%. But I'm just curious if at any point it was like a roller coaster where you actually thought of taking it and didn't. And I'm sure your dad was involved and your manager was involved. What was that process like?
Yes, sir. Well, it's a very frustrating process because, everybody knows what happened with Till. And I told myself then after that fight, I will never do this again. Never let this happen again. Right. And then, when I found out that he didn't make weight, during this whole process that morning, when I found out that he was dry, that he was struggling. I don't think he'll make weight. In my head, he's still going to make weight. So the fight's still happening. And then you keep going back and forth. Like, there's no way this guy's going to make weight. There's no way. The dude's 177. There's no way this guy's going to make, you know what? You got to get that out of your head. This guy's going to make weight. It's going to happen. And then it's kind of this back and forth thing where the fight's happening. It's not going to happen. The fight's happening. It's not going to happen. Then you're thinking about your coaches, right? You're thinking about your teammates who sacrifice their bodies to help you get to where you're at, you know, the sparring, the training, the coaches who, you know, spend that time training you when they could be with their family. So you think about them. I want to do this for them. I'm thinking about them. They're thinking about me. Don't do it. We told ourselves we're not going to do it. It's a roller coaster of emotions at this point, you know? And it's like, at this point, you're not even mentally ready to step out there after all this is going on. You know, all this was going on from 7 a.m. that morning till about 4 to 5 o'clock before the weigh-ins, the fan weigh-ins. So about 10 hours of up and down, up and down, up and down. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. And at some point, you know, actually the entire time, it's great to have a team that I have because they were behind me 100%. You know, you've been in this game long enough. You shouldn't be playing these games. And you should set a precedent that whoever fights you should know if they don't make weight, then you're not going to fight them. And I see this a lot happening to a lot of other fighters and not being done. You know, these guys take it for whatever reason, but it's getting to the point where I don't know any. From what I hear, those guys that don't make weight, most of the time they end up winning the fight. But I don't know if that's true or not. But that's just what I hear. So if you sign that contract, be honorable, man. Show integrity. If that's your word, you should abide by it. You should do whatever you can to make that weight.
How did the UFC handle the news when you guys told them?
You know, of course, they were. I feel maybe they were upset because, you know, their number one goal is to put on a show, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm disappointed, obviously, that what happened. I'm more upset that the fans didn't get what they want. We do this for the honor, for the glory. We do this to put on a show for the fans. And that was my goal taking this fight, right? I'm thinking this is going to be another fight of the year, just like the Kevin Holland fight, right? It's going to be awesome. 3 5-minute round war. People are going to love it. And they're going to be talking about this for weeks and weeks to come. That was the plan. And for it not to happen, man, very disappointing, man. I feel sorry for the fans because, you know, they're showing their frustration as well. But I'm getting such positive feedback from them saying that I did the right thing. And that means the world to me. So if you're watching this, I really do appreciate everybody's kindness. And I'm glad that you're behind my back. And it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Could I ask, did you receive any kind of payment for your troubles?
At this point, my management is talking with the UFC. Nothing yet. I know Dana White's on vacation. You know, that guy's a workaholic, so well deserved. But I feel like the UFC is going to do right by me. You know, I've done everything that I'm supposed to do, and you know, I've tried to be as honorable as possible when it comes to signing my contracts and abiding by it and doing what the UFC has said and and I've done what they wanted of me. And I feel that they're gonna do right by me. So things are still in talks. I think they're waiting for Dana White to come back from his vacation and we'll go from there. But no, at this point, nothing. Yeah.
Will you be disappointed if it stays that way?
100%. 100%. Yes, sir. I'll be disappointed. I don't, who wouldn't be, right? When you show up and you're on point, you have done nothing wrong and your opponent has. And, you know, it would just really stink if if that was the case. But me being the positive guy that I am, I feel like they're going to do right by me, and that's why I'm still smiling, still smiling right now. So got to
I
keep
hope
on
so as
keeping
well.
on, Ariel.
Amen. Amen to that. You talked about like things that need to be done, and I agree. And I don't know what the answer is. One thing that I think is a very simple answer to all of this is the predicament that you're in now, which is if you make weight and your opponent doesn't, to me, it should be in the contract that you're getting X amount. If it's whatever that number is it 50? Is it three quarters? Is it your show? Whatever your deal is, you should know that when you step on a scale and make weight, regardless of what he does, you're getting something, right? That should
Yes,
be there shouldn't even be this negotiation now. To me, it should be black and white. You did your job, as you said. You're the pro. You made weight. You did everything that you said you were going to do when you signed that contract. There should be some sort of obligation on the promotion's part. This is not a UFC only thing. Every promotion deals with this sort of thing. They should say, all right,
yes, sir.
you did it. He didn't. You should get paid. Like to me, it would be a
I I,
travesty if you
I
don't get
agree.
something for your troubles. And to me, it should be honest. I don't know what your deal is. It's not, but like if it's a show win thing, at the very least, you should get a show. But to me, you should get the show and the win because they were already, that money was already allotted. It was already accounted for. If you would have won, you would have gotten everything. So to me, you won the fight. You won the fight. He didn't show up. You won the fight. You should get 100%. Do you need me to make a call, Steven? I can make a call if you'd like. Or is Audie on it? It's up to you.
Thank you,
I'm sure
thank
you're in
you.
capable
And
hands.
I love it, man. I appreciate you, but I'm glad that you got my back as well, Ariel.
Of course. And I know you're not the type to talk about the things, and I'm sure this particular portion of the conversation isn't your favorite, but you did what you signed up to do. And it breaks my heart when I see these headlines like, oh, you haven't been paid yet or you're waiting. Like, what? You should have left with a check. You should have left
Yes,
with a
sir.
check.
There should be something more black and white in the contract, like you
Yes.
said. So that way you're the fighter's covered, right? If anything
Right.
happens, you're covered because a lot of people don't realize what is involved when it comes in running a camp for a fight. How much money you
Right.
spend, the people that you bring in to help train you, the coaches, right? Your strength. Because I got 5 coaches and plus a nutritionist, plus my physical therapy. That I spend more on now. I was the oldest guy on the card actually this past
Wow.
weekend. Yeah, which I thought I didn't even think about it until somebody brought it up. It's like 13 days older than Jan Blachowicz, which we're both 40, but still, I was the oldest guy on the card. I'm like, what? But you spend a lot of money
Yeah.
on preparing for a fight. I try not to think about it, but man, and people don't know what you go through and how much a camp is. So just going through that and for this to happen is crazy, man. And it's not the same. It's not the same. One of my most all-time favorite moments and probably feelings is walking through an airport after a fight.
Mm.
Can barely walk. I've got bumps, I got bruises, but I'm loving every minute of it. The glory, the feelings that you feel that you just did something, and I didn't get that, man. Because nothing happened. I did everything that I was supposed to do, and walking to that airport yesterday sucked. That I wasn't able to go out there and put on a performance.
I was just
it,
going to
it,
ask you
it
that question. What is it like being back home now and you're fresh face? There's not like you didn't get that release, right? And you didn't get that glory walk. This is
nothing.
probably a
I
worse
don't feel.
feeling than a loss. Is it a worse feeling than a loss potentially?
It is
Wow.
worse than a loss because at least after a loss, I know I went out there and gave it my all. I know that I have feedback that I can go back and work on something after that fight. I got nothing. I got nothing from this, you know, but just disappointment because everybody around you is disappointed and you feel it, the fans, your coaches that I'm walking back with, my dad, my coaches, everybody, me. I'm back here at the school right now. The disappointment in the kids' eyes who really weren't able to see Mr. Stephen fight. Parents, you don't get any of that. So it sucks, man. It really
Mm.
does.
Did you stick around? Did you go to the fight?
I didn't. I didn't even want to go to it, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Um, um,
But you were in Salt Lake
I,
City. You just didn't go to the
I
arena.
was.
Wow.
Didn't
What
go to
did
the
you do?
arena.
Did you even watch it?
I just hung out. I hung out in my hotel room, man. Watched the
Wow.
movies. I finished up. You're getting your body rehydrated, drinking water, and just just doing nothing, man. I was so bummed. I didn't want to go out there and see the other guys, you know, go through those emotions that I should be going through right now. You know,
Yeah.
the glory of a win or even a loss, hanging out afterwards and just seeing their faces of that victory they got in the cage. That should have been me. I should have been out there.
Right.
So I was, man, I'm not even gonna go, bro.
I don't
I'm
blame
not
you.
even gonna go.
Did you hear from Michel?
I haven't heard anything yet.
No,
I
no,
haven't heard.
no, no DM,
I
no
don't know
apology, no
apology.
text.
No, no,
No.
nothing. So
Would you
you
would you
know,
consider fighting him again?
no, no. And the reason for that, I wouldn't, because already gave him the opportunity. I gave you the shot, not only the shot, but I gave you a chance to beat a veteran out here. I hate saying that, you know, but to prove yourself to the UFC, to the fans, that you deserve to take the spot, to move up the rankings, and now you show me that you don't deserve it. So I'm not going to give you that chance again. There's other guys out there who are more deserving. You know, JDM, you got Ian Gary, you know, a lot of these guys that are coming up are more deserving than that. These guys make weight.
Hmm.
You know, they do what they say what they're going to do.
And so I know you just went through a camp, but not a fight. How quickly do you want to get back in there? Like if they offered you something today in the near future, are you down? Do you want to take a break now? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Yeah, man. You know, I saw a lot of fans ask me to go to Australia. I'm like, no, that's in 5 weeks. I mean, to be able to cut that weight again, plus an 18-hour
Right.
flight, plus the time, I'm like, I think that would be too soon. But I feel like what I want to do, especially for the fans and for the UFC, I think at Madison Square Garden in November would be awesome. So that's what, 3 months? Let's go, baby. I think that would be an amazing fight card to be able to be on and give the fans what they want for this whole debacle this past weekend. One of the biggest cards it was this past weekend. You
Mm.
know, to be able to be on that and perform, and a lot of eyes were on that. So I think MSG is it. So I would love to get on that. You know, come back here, get the body right, get right back into it, and let's get after it. Madison Square Garden is my plan.
Against who?
Ah, man, I don't care. Just not Michel Pereira. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. I gave you the shot, man.
But you would be into an Ian Gary, a JDM, someone who is lower than you in the rankings, younger. You're open to those fights. A lot of guys in your position wouldn't be.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the last guys that I faced. I mean, these guys were all ranked below me. Bilal was below me. Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Kevin Holland. I think everybody but Gilbert Burns was below me at that point. So you know, my goal is not to be the gatekeeper, but I am willing to give these guys a shot at coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
At proving themselves. And to be able to be on a card where Leon Edwards is fighting Colby Covington, another welterweight shot, you know, you give me anybody plus another guy, I could be looking at another title shot, right? That's always the
Mm-hmm.
goal. Always
Mm-hmm.
the goal. Even yeah. And, you know, people are saying he's 40s washed up. Did you see my last performance?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what Kevin Holland is doing to these dudes now? Like, I'm not taking any easy fights, guys. You know, I'm still there. I still feel great. My body feels great. I still feel fast. I'm still improving in the gym. Like, that's always the plan, is always the goal.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's part of the frustration here, right? You obviously feel great, but you don't have 10 more years of this left. So every one of
No.
these counts. You're on a roll. You're coming off a tremendous win over a guy who's on fire right now. You were robbed of that, and that sucks. And I'm sure you had some people trying to put some pressure on you to take the fight. Come on, it's only 3 pounds. You made the right call, in
Yes,
my
sir.
opinion. You made the
It's
right
funny they
call.
say that. It's only 3 pounds. Well, if it's only 3 pounds, cut the 3 pounds.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know
good
what I mean?
point.
If it's
Yep.
only 3 pounds, I'm already here. You know, then cut the 3 pounds. It's funny because people are like, "Oh, are you scared to fight him?" I'm like, man, I wouldn't. If I was scared, I wouldn't have fought the guy in the first place. I wouldn't
Yes.
sign that
Why'd you go
contract.
through all of
Like,
that? Right.
what
Made
is
the
the
weight.
deal? Yeah,
Crazy.
it's funny, man.
You're
It's funny what people say.
Yeah, don't pay too much attention to it. You're a class act. We're all behind you. You made the right call, Stephen.
Thank
Thank you so much for coming on here. Really sorry it didn't pan out, but hopefully you get that MSG fight. And it would be a nice story as well. Right the wrong of a few years ago, back at the Garden, where you fought Tyron the first time, and then you get a big win there. So that would be a nice way to end the year. So thanks so much. Good luck to you. And let me know if you need me to make a call about that whole, payment thing. I'm happy to do so on your behalf.
you. You're the man, Ariel. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Stephen. There he is, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the very best. Who's better than him? What a nice guy. Hard to argue with anything that he said.